Good day, Minecraftians. Purple Mentat here with more Cobblestone gen testing for Agrarian Skies, and in this case, any other mod pack that uses Nihilo and you want to build a cobblestone generator on. So, you've seen me test autonomous activators on the Civ in this world. You've seen me compare terrain smashers to igneous extruders. Now, it's time for stone barrel cobble generation. Now, I learned this recently, and I made a build of it in my survival Let's Play world on Ruin Wolf's Agrarian Skies server. If you have a stone barrel with water going into it and lava on the top of it, it generates cobblestone. You're going to want 2 fluid ducts feeding it water, I've found after my testing. That's not ideal. It kind of looks a mess, but it's what I got because I built badly. And that will generate cobblestone rather rapidly. Now you're going to need 5 aqueous accumulators to get this thing running at full speed, and 2 fluid duct connections to be able to pump water into it fast enough to actually keep up. Now, what this means for speed is what we're here to test. We're going to find out if it can keep up with about the equivalent in metal usage worth of igneous extruders. If I take a look at the difference in material costs, the igneous extruder and the aqueous accumulator have a very similar material cost. You use slightly less redstone with the aqueous accumulator, but slightly more iron. 2 more iron, 1 less redstone. Or, I suppose, 2 more aluminum in Agrarian Skies. So they're very comparable in material costs, though your iron or aluminium will suffer using 5 aqueous accumulators instead of 5 igneous extruders. Also, I suppose the fluid ducts are not negligible. You're going to need to use some copper and some lead to get these going, where with these igneous extruders you do not need anything of the sort. This whole thing could be done with hoppers. A hopper will never keep up with this. You need some form of item duct. In any case, I feel the material costs are fairly comparable. They are definitely not identical. What we're going to do is we're going to flip this lever, which all of these igneous extruders are set to require redstone control high, and this item duct will start outputting from this barrel. Let's see how it goes. Already, it's looking like the stone barrel has a bit of an advantage, but we're not going to take that as it is. We're going to let this run for, probably half an hour total before we make any judgment. Because as time goes on, it looks like these igneous extruders are actually winning. That would be a bit of a shame. This is a really fun method of generating cobblestone. I will be sad if the igneous extruders are actually better. In any case, I'm going to cut back in once we have a few stacks built up and see if we have a clear winner yet. So it has not been very long yet, but already the results seem kind of clear. At 16 stacks out of the barrel, the igneous extruders are about 5 stacks ahead, give or take a bit. 4 3/4. So the 5 igneous extruders is clearly beating out the 5 aqueous accumulators. Let's take a look at that on the large scale. On the right, I have 40 igneous extruders. On the left, I have 40 aqueous accumulators feeding 8 stone barrels. Everything turns on with the flip of a switch, and we should very quickly see if this translates into the large scale. Yep, takes a little bit longer for the igneous extruders to get started, but they are very quickly outpacing the aqueous accumulators with the stone barrels. That's a bit of a shame. I really was hoping that we had found a better cobble generation method than igneous extruders in the Agrarian Skies mod pack. Unfortunately, the igneous extruders simply win out both on footprint and on resources used, and on speed. So for similar slightly less resources, and smaller space eaten up, the Igneous Extruder is still winning. I mean, technically, here we go. The Terrain Smasher moves a little bit faster, but doesn't quite cover it. Well, that's a shame. Oh well, we test and we learn. Yeah. It's fun seeing things kind of group up, though. Yeah, by the time we were at 32 stacks in the Igneous Extruder barrel, we were only at 25 and change in the stone barrel, barrel. Alright. Well, that is that, folks. We have a clear winner. If you have cobble to generate in Agrarian Skies, stick with the Igneous Extruders. It really is the best. Except, isn't there a transition plane thing from Applied Energistics? Yes. So the next test is going to be the ME transition plane. Unfortunately, I don't feel like that's really a great one to test because the transition plane is going to suffer from the same issue that the Terrain Smasher does, in that even if it does go faster, it's relying on the lava and water bucket setup, whereas the Igneous Extruder is self-contained and is one tile entity ticking along instead of 5-ish? Let's see. The base lava, the lava spot, the base water, the water spot, and the Terrain Smasher, not including the other spots. So yeah, multiple tile entities ticking for the Terrain Smasher, just the one for the Igneous Extruder. No matter which way I slice it, I come back to Igneous Extruders being the best. It almost doesn't matter how fast the transition plane moves, because it would have to, even if it picks up a fraction of a second faster than the Terrain Smasher, because honestly, this thing moves almost as fast as a blocked up update. There's very little difference. I don't think that it's going to be enough faster to warrant the amount of extra resource drain. Okay, so I have a couple of questions for you, the audience. I'm going to turn this back on so you can watch the Igneous Extruders destroy the others. Actually, let me get some upgrades in there. We can really see what's what. Look up some Java. Do this up the right way. Ah, there we go. I'm missing an upgrade. There. Now we can fit lots and lots and lots in there, which is fun. Still, not nearly as many as you could put into a deep storage unit. So your better barrel is not going to be able to hold the maximum, the kind of cobblestone you need for this map. All right, so questions for you guys. One, if I'm going to keep doing these little testing and comparison videos, I want a name for the series, and I'm having trouble coming up with one. I mean, there's the obvious Mythbusters rift and calling it like Minebusters or, you know, Mythcraft or something like that, but I don't like that. So I'm polling the audience. What do you guys think? Give me some name ideas. Throw your best brainstorming at me, and if I like one, I'll take it. If I don't like any of them, or if one of them inspires me, I'll come up with something based on what you guys share. Second, I'd like to know if you guys have any better ideas for cobble generation than the Igneous Extruder, because honestly, I'm getting kind of stumped here. I'm not coming up with much else that doesn't cause massive amounts of ticking tile entities. I want Igneous Extruders not to be the best option, but they simply are, no matter what I do to make them not. And I've thought of like some complicated ideas involving blood magic or Thaumcraft, but those would not be super useful one, they're a lot more manual than this, and two, they require a lot of server resources. And being able to beat the speed of the Igneous Extruder as well as the low server overhead of the Igneous Extruder is really, really hard. Now, I've got some ideas for other topics that I'm going to cover in this series, and I think that you guys will find those both useful and interesting. So, thank you very much for joining me. I hope you've enjoyed this video, and I will see you next time.